Hello friends, this is Christopher Davis-Shannon, and today I'm going to show you my absolute favorite chord on ukulele, which is this. We've all played that before, but the reality is it's not my favorite chord. It's my favorite grouping of notes, and there's a lot of different ways that we can use it. So what we're going to explore in this video is why that grouping of notes sounds so special, how we can lay it out in different inversions across the fingerboard, and then dive into different harmonic ways that we can use this grouping of notes. Now what is this chord we're working with? It's this, 2-2-1-3, and you've probably played that as a D minor 7th before, and that's absolutely what it is. It's also so much more. But minor 7th chords to me have a very special tonality. When we think of minor, we think of sadder types of sounds, right? And if we played a D minor, we get a definitively minor sound. But as soon as we add this 7th on top, it loses some of that sadness and has this sort of ethereal quality to it. And why is that? Well, if we look at how the chord is constructed, we're playing D, F, A, C as we stack. Now our D minor triad, that sad portion, D, F, A, is in the bottom here. When we add this C on top, something's happening. If we omit the D for a moment and we just play F, A, C, well, that's just an F major chord. A D minor 7th is just an F major chord over top of a D. But in uke, it doesn't really matter how we invert the chords, what note is in the bass. So we could actually call this an F6th chord as well. Remember that our uke is tuned to an open 6th chord or a minor 7th chord. So the reason this sounds so special and so ambiguous tonally is because we really have major and minor happening at the same time. Now with any 4-note chord, we can invert the chord or change what note is in the bass and move it all over the fingerboard, giving us even a different sound inside of this sound that we already have. So let's look at those different inversions. Now as we're looking at this D minor 7th, we can also call it an F6th. We're really going to worry about just the relationship of the notes right now because our chords without being in a chord progression don't really have a name because they're not doing anything. They're just sitting there. This is just a grouping of notes. This is not a D minor 7th. This is not an F6th, right? This is just 4 notes hanging out in the wind. But any 4-note chord, we can take any of those 4 notes, put it on the C string and construct a chord around that, creating a new voicing or an inversion of the chord. An inversion is dependent on what the lowest note in the chord is. So each of these will have 2 names, right? This is a D minor 7th as well as an F6th. And what if we put the next note in the chord on the C string? So that'd be an F. So we go up to our 5th fret, bar straight across. F, A, C, D. Now the D's up top. And this sounds much more like an F6th out of context, right? Because the F is in the bass. But if the bass player plays a D under this, it's a D minor 7th chord, right? So we can think of that relationship of notes, and these are all movable. So this would be an F6th, E6th, E flat 6th, and down, right? So we have 2 of our inversions. We said there's going to be 4 because there are 4 different notes. Now we're going to stop moving up the fingerboard because this is too far for the moment. So let's come down. This is our F6th. So if we play our uke open, since that's straight across, this is our C6th, right? That's what we are tuned to. So we can think of this in C. So here's C6. So then if we put it over top of an E, our C6th has C, E, G, and A, just the open strings of our uke. If we put it over top of an E, we end up with this voicing, 2-4-3-3. So this is a C6th or an A minor 7th. Depending, if we wanted to do this as a D minor 7th, it would be all the way up here, 7, 9, 8, 8. Right, so has much more functional use down here. And then our final inversion, because we only have 4 inversions that we can do, would be up here. This will be our C6th or A minor 7th chord, 5, 7, 5, 7. And note, you've probably played that before. It's an E minor 7th or a G6th chord down here. So those are our 4 inversions, and I'm just going to play them all right here so that we can see them, because we're worried about the relationship of the notes, not the names of them right now, because these chords don't have a function. These are just inversions of chords. So we have our root position, minor 7th chord, right? And then we have our straight across one. Yeah. Straight across is still the same relationship of notes, and then we have over top of our E for a C6th, and then we have finally our last one. So we can put these in context and make them sound like they're something. And what I've done over on Patreon is written up a sheet of all of these inversions and how they lay out as each of these 2 chords up and down the neck. So you can really visualize how to use this and start subbing them out in songs. But something else I want to look at now is, for us high G players, we have some more options. So uke is a very unique instrument, especially in reentrant or high G tuning, in that we have these 2 outer strings that are a whole step apart. When I'm playing uke, I don't actually think of this as a full instrument. This is almost as if I'm playing the right hand of the piano. I don't concern myself with what the bass is doing, what those inversions are. Because as I said earlier, if I played this, well, this could be an A minor 7th, but it could also be a C6th. It depends what the rest of the band is doing, how it's working in the song. So with our high G string, we can play those same chords that we were playing, but in different ways. And this is what's called a voicing of a chord. Because if we think about something simple, like we've played B7th before, 4, 3, 2, open. Well, on high G, if we play 2, 3, 2, 2, if we put that on the staff, those are the same exact notes stacked on top of each other. But they don't sound the same, do they? Because of how we lay them out on the instrument. We can do this with our 6th chords as well, utilizing our open strings. So one of my favorite ones is, if you recall, the 2, 4, 3, 3 that we did right here, our A minor 7th or C6th. Well, what if we take this G that's here on the 3rd fret and just play an open one instead? So we have open 4, 5, 3. Same notes, this slightly more open sound because we have that open G string. And likewise, we could play a C6th chord like this, 5, 4, 3, open. Right, still the A up top, but we have this C floating over top. This again, same grouping of notes as this or this, but they all have different sounds because of the notes and how they are placed on the fingerboard. Right? And likewise, with the open G, we have a few others that we can use that are dependent on where we're using them. They can't function as movable voicings, right? When we're using an open string, we don't have movable voicings. These are set. So this would have to be a C6th or an A minor 7th, right? Couldn't be anything else. But likewise, we can go up open 5, 6, 5. This would be a B flat 6th or a G minor 7th. It should be the same as this voicing that we could play, 3, 5, 3, 5. Remember, this is our one that's over the 7th scale degree of our minor chord. Same notes laid out in a different way. And likewise, we could do one more, open, 9, 8, 7. And this is a C6th chord or A minor 7th chord as well. It's the same as this one. But utilizing the open G now. And I really want you to experiment with what possibilities the open G can give you on uke. It enables us to play chords that really no other instrument can voice in the way that we do, and is part of the unique sound of the instrument. So if you're playing high G, experiment with how you can incorporate that into your harmony. Now, we've been talking so far about all these movable positions and not really putting them in context. So now it's time to put them in context and see how this is not just 2 chords. This can be at least 7 chords. But I'm going to need a little help for this. So I've enlisted the help of my significantly better half, Tally, to help us out with this final section where we're going to take this grouping of 4 notes that we've been calling a D minor 7th or an F6 this whole time, and we're going to make it sound like whatever we feel like in the moment. So what Tally's going to do is she's going to play a simple bass line on synthesizer so that we can hear this in the context of a chord progression, because a grouping of any number of notes doesn't really have a name unless we put it in context. And having bass movement is going to help us really hear this more strongly. Now, I mentioned earlier that there are a lot of different ways we can recontextualize this grouping of notes, and we're just going to give you 4 here. But if you can think of any more and drop it in the comments and tell me how it works in a chord progression, I'll send you a set of my magic ukulele strings for your ukulele. So let's get started. We're going to start out by taking this and making it a B flat major 9 chord. So we're going to do a 2-5-1 in B flat, C minor 7th, F 7th to B flat, except when B flat happens, I'm going to play this, or maybe this, or maybe this, I don't know. One of those groupings of 4 notes that we're going to resolve to, and now there's no B flat in here. But we do have the 3rd of the chord, the 5th of the chord, the major 7th of the chord, and the 9th. So there's a lot of harmonic information in here. So let's see if we can make this sound like it's a B flat chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. It's no longer an F6. It's now a B flat major 9th chord. And we can really play with tonality on this. Now let's take it and let's make it a minor chord of some sort. Let's make it a G minor 11th chord. And now that's going to bring us to the key of F, because we wouldn't resolve to a minor 11th chord. It's a rather unstable sort of sound. So we're going to use this as our 2 chord, which is the first chord in our progression. So we're going to go G minor 11th, C 7th to F, or F major 7th maybe in here. Now, why does this one work? Because again, we have some of these chord tones in here. We have the 5th, the minor 7th, we have the 9th, and we have the 11th. So we have a lot of what we need going on in this chord. So this will be G minor 11th, C 7th to F. 2, 3, 4. It works. Now we can do this and we can stay even longer on that. Why don't we take this grouping of notes and figure out what it would be over top of that C 7th chord? Because we have a C in our grouping of notes, right? Or here. We have a C here, but how would this relate to what's happening in our progression? This would become a C 13th chord. Right? So we're just staying on the same grouping of notes. So it's going to be G minor 11th, C 13th, and then to F. Now I'll preface this with, we would generally have a B flat somewhere in this chord. We're just hearing bass movement as well as the extensions right now. But if we had a B flat in here played by any number of other instruments, this would really strongly sound like that 2-5-1. But even without that, we're going to hear what we need. So let's give it a shot. 2, 3, 4. We still get that nice resolution to the key of F. So the last one, we're going to hop over to the people's key, the key of C, and play 2-5-1, D minor 7th, G 7th to C. But we're going to use our grouping of 4 notes as that tonic, as our C. Now we just thought of it, as a C13, right? Because the chord matters in relation to what's happening around it, not what's happening just in that moment when you play the notes. So here, because it's our tonic, it will become a C sus4 6-9 chord. Now, a sus chord just means it's not major or minor. It's using the 4th instead of the 3rd. And what we're going to do is we're going to land on our grouping of notes and then resolve it by making the F, our 4th scale degree, resolve down to an E. And that'll give us that sense of finality, ending on a C 6-9 chord. So this would be a D minor 7th to a G 7th to a C sus4 6-9, resolving to a C 6-9. Oh my God, I'm out of breath just saying these chords at this point. Here it comes. 2, 3, 4. And we still get our nice resolution to C. Music is just magic sometimes. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you'd like, please join me over on Patreon, where I have a worksheet breaking down all of these voicings that we've been talking about in here, so you don't have to remember all of them yourself. I'll see y'all next week.
Bye.